Welcome back to Conspiracy Thought Radio. It has been a while. We have rebranded, renamed. We are now Veritas Libertas Radio News Network, which stands for Truth is Freedom, which is very important because the truth is freedom. The truth will set you free no matter what. So, I guess we'll jump right into it. Been getting asked a lot of questions about when I'm gonna start up my law series. We're gonna start right now. This kind of ties into the whole pandemic thing as well. So that we'll kind of split from there. One from this video on, we'll have a whole section dedicated to the pandemic stuff, and then the other direction will be the law aspect, which may tie back into the pandemic stuff as well. But this is just very important and a good place to start because this is the bottom line is you have to know who you are when it comes to any of the mandates. Since I live in Michigan, I brought this up. Governor Gretchen Whitmer mandated that everybody has to wear masks. There's a lot of debate going on with the whole Americans with Disabilities Act, OSHA guidelines, stuff like that, claiming that technically none of us shouldn't ever be wearing masks, should never be wearing masks, that kind of stuff. But right from the beginning here, Executive Order 2020-147, which actually I believe was rescinded as of July 17th, Friday, July 17th. But this was something that it doesn't matter which one you pick. Any executive order, it's going to be the same thing. So it's going to draw all of its power from two different statutes. One is MCL, which is Michigan Codified Law 30.401, and Michigan's where'd it go? MCL 10.31, which both of which are just dumb anyway. But, so this one here is 10.31. This is from 1945. This is what she's claiming she has the authority. This statute gives her the authority to do what she's doing now, which is lock down the entire state basically a second time, making it a mandatory that everybody in public has to wear a mask. Stores are supposed to refuse you service if you don't wear a mask. Now they've kind of relaxed on the whole medical exemption thing, but it's been ridiculous, and people are either totally for it or totally against it. There's no in betweens here. But this states that governor may proclaim a state of emergency and designate the area involved for any type of disaster, basically, in which she considers necessary to protect life and property or to bring emergency situation within the affected area under control. Okay, fine. Okay, she can if she can prove the entire state of Michigan is under that issue, then cool. She can she can run that however she wants. I don't have a problem with that. So move on to the next one. This is MCL 30.403. This is where she is being sued right now, big time. She's being sued by a lot of different people, a lot of groups, because back in April, I believe it was April or the end of May, she lost House approval to declare the state of emergency in Michigan, which these statutes are given authority and power by the Michigan Constitution, and if she violates those, she is warring against the Constitution, which constitutes treason. So according to this statute here, after the initial 28 days, the governor shall issue an executive order or proclamation declaring the state of disaster terminated, unless a request by the governor for an extension of the state of disaster for a specific number of days is approved by resolution of both houses of the legislature, which it was not. It hasn't been since, it's either end of April or end of May. I don't remember which one. But either way, it's been 2.5 months of constant state of emergencies that are completely against this statute right here, which she's claiming she has the ability to do based on this statute, based on MCL 10.31. Gray area, which is why she's being sued. But nonetheless, all of this circumvents, or all of this circles back to one thing where it states in every single statute and that an individual, in every single one in here, an individual has to do these things. An individual who leaves their home, the requirement to wear a face covering does not apply to an individual or to individuals. Where is the next one? This one just refers to the public. Does not consider camps like school camps, troop camps, stuff like that as public spaces. No individual is subject to penalty under Section 8 of this, blah, blah, blah. As to the individuals, so you'll see a recurring theme here to where individual is used. Now, a lot of people say, well, an individual is, as a human, it's a person, blah, 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 whatever. That is absolutely untrue. In statutory language, everything is defined. So here we have, this is 30.403. This was the one that says after 28 days, the governor has to terminate the executive order claiming that the state is under emergency. This is 30.402 in the definitions section. Same exact statute, just the definitions for that. Subsection M states person, means an individual, partnership, corporation, association, governmental entity, or any other entity. Notice individual is in there, but it is also in there with things that are legal corporations, like a partnership, a corporation, an association, and government entities, or any other entity. Entity is in reference to something that needs government approval to exist. A legal entity that you would have to go to court to have paperwork drafted up and approved by a judge saying, hey, this is your name, this is, for a corporation, all that kind of stuff. But all that falls under, all of these things in the same list fall into a maxim of law called the justum generis. And this is from the Cornell Law School that states, the justum generis is Latin for of the same kind. So if you had a statute, if a law refers to automobiles, trucks, tractors, motorcycles, and other motor-powered vehicles, a court might use a justum generis to hold that such vehicles would not include airplanes. So in this case, in every single one of these, it's stated, where was it? Oh yeah, it was in the executive order. In all these instances, it states an individual. Well, an individual obviously is the same thing as a partnership, corporation, association, and another government entity. So the real question becomes, are you a government entity or a corporation? You're neither. I mean, as far as a human being is concerned, the word people. So if that's the case, that would prove that none of these executive orders, not that they're law anyway, but even if they were law, it doesn't matter. They wouldn't be law. They'd be legal documents, not lawful documents. Doesn't change the fact that they do not pertain to people. They only pertain to persons, which a person is an individual. You will never, ever, ever see people defined in a statute, like in this one here. This is section 30.402, which is the definition section for 30.403. You will never see the word people in here at all. Now, you see it in founding documents all the time, like constitutions, the Declaration, all that kind of stuff. But it's never in reference to a statute whatsoever, which tells you that a statute is only in reference to a corporation. More on that later, but you can use a justum generis to determine right here that you may think that a person is you and I, but according to a justum generis, it is not. It is a some sort of corporation or government entity. Now, that being said, here's some federal statutes to back that up. Here's the 1 U.S. Code, Section 8. Person, human being, child, and individual shall include every infant member of the species Homo sapiens who is born alive at any stage of development. So here you go, individual, blah blah blah, whatever. Anyway, they are infant member, which means below the age of majority, 18 in most places. Um, yeah, so that's the very first United States Code, 1 USC Section 8. Here's 15 USC Section 7. Person or persons wherever used in sections 1 to 7 of this title shall be deemed to include corporations and associations existing under or authorized by the laws of either the United States, the laws of any of the territories, blah, 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 whatever. So anyway, it is only to include corporations and associations, which include, this is another thing that trips people up, is the word include or including or includes is very limiting. They put these like little twists at the end, these open loops or closed loops, I guess it would be. That would say including but not limited to. That's an oxymoron. That doesn't make any sense because include means to limit. A nut is contained in a nut. A nut is included in a nutshell. Is I believe how all the dictionaries use as a reference. I believe that's what they use. So the after the word include and before the period of that same sentence is only things that are in that that are included there. So if it says deemed to include corporations and associations, or include but not limited to corporations and associations, that doesn't make any sense legally. That makes zero sense. You have to assume that it is corporations and associations only, because include is finite. It's open shut within a very small window. So that's it. So that was 15 USC. Here's the tax code, 26 USC. Term person shall be construed to mean and include an individual, a trust, estate, partnership, association, company, or corporation. So that being said, once again, individual, trust, estate. Well, we know a trust, an estate, a partnership, an association, and a company or a corporation are obviously all corporations. So once again, go back to a justum generis, where everything is of the same kind within a list. So if these are all corporations, that means this word is also a corporation by legal language. So once again, even according to the tax code, if you are not if you're a corporation, you have to pay taxes. If you're not a corporation, you do not have to pay taxes. There's actually a bombshell section of 26 USC that most people don't even talk about when they even bring their lawsuits to court regarding tax evasion, quote unquote. They get accused of it, moving money places they shouldn't, blah blah blah, whatever. Downside, or the bottom line is that people do not have to pay taxes by requirement of this code. By 26 USC specifically, you're not supposed to pay taxes. It specifically says you should not. Not in those exact words, but I'm going to do a whole another section just on taxes alone because it's crazy. But anyway, so even the tax code says, a person is a corporation, basically. So then here's the definition of an individual. Single person. So you know that a person is one of these things. So that means it's just a single of one of those. So it'd be like a sole proprietorship instead of an LLC with multiple people or whatever. So it's a single person as distinguished from a group or class, and also very commonly a private or natural person as distinguished from a partnership, corporation, or association. So instead of these being body collectives or body corporates, an individual is a single person, a single corporate, or which is, you don't say that, you just call it an individual. So that being said, none of this, if you live here in Michigan, none of these executive orders pertain to people. None of it. They do not pertain to people. By legal definition, it's specifically, they are telling you that this is only pertaining to corporations and government entities. So, because the government is actually a corporation, it's not a federal government, it's not a state government, never, I shouldn't say never has been. It hasn't been a sitting representative republic government on the state side or the federal side for a very long time, if ever, in some cases. totally, topic for another video, but doesn't change the fact that this is it. If you are not a person, which is also an individual, if you are not a corporation, basically is what that's saying, you do not have to follow this. This is not meant for you. This is also why I always tell people, like in this case here, you have a governor who is flexing her muscles because she's on the short list for VP spot under Biden's presidential ticket. She's trying to show that she means business. She's not gonna take shit from anybody. This is the real deal. That being said, she's gonna push this stuff as hard as she can. So doesn't change the fact that it doesn't matter how much she pushes. If you're not a person, if you're not an individual, which are interchangeable, which if you're a people, if you're a human being, by street language instead of statutory language, if you're a living, breathing man on the ground on this land, then you are not one of those things. You can be, if you start a business or anything like that, but as you are birthed, you are not, you're not a person unless you choose to be. So that being said, none of this applies to you. So everyone needs to stop worrying about their rights being violated and all that kind of stuff, because they're not. They're not being violated. This specifically tells you that who this pertains to, which is not you. And here's some more references proving that the word person in legal terminology is perceived as a general word which normally includes in its scope a variety of entities other than human beings. That was from a Supreme Court decision in 1979. The word person is used and employed in most statutory languages, ordinarily construed to exclude the sovereign, and that for one as such to be bound by statute, they must be specifically named. That's from another Supreme Court case, 1989, 1979 originally, and then actually a Michigan State Police case in 1989, and then a GM case as well. That is another concept of law that is extremely important, or the legal construct, not law, but in order to be bound by statute, you must be specifically named in it, which they do. They specifically name persons, which are individuals, corporations, trusts, estates, all that kind of stuff. They are the ones who are legally bound by statute, not people. So there's a massive difference between person and people. Know the difference. This here tells you straight up that to be bound by statute, they must be specifically named. So who are they naming? They are naming persons in every one of these here. They're all persons. Or individuals, which is a person. So if that's who they're naming, that's why you have to go back to the definition section. Every single chapter of a statute has a definition section. Just like, this is section 30.402, where 30.403 is the actual statute that says, well, who can do what, blah, blah, blah. But they have to define everything first, because they're using language that is not the same as what you and I speak every day. So you have to know what they're talking about, which is why when you go to here and it says, well, you have to be specifically named to be bound by statute. Okay, well, who are they naming? In here it says, it doesn't say in that one. It says, in this one here, they're naming an individual. Well, who's an individual? Go to the, the laws, go to the statutes that pertain to this, look up the definition section. Here it is. And, okay, individual is a person. All right, well, it's also a partnership, corporation, association, a government entity, or any other government entity. Well, I'm none of those things. So obviously that doesn't name me. I'm not named in that statute, so therefore I don't have to listen to what this entire thing says. I don't have to listen to this executive order because it doesn't pertain to me. Another one, government admits that that often the word person is used in such a sense as to not include the sovereign, but urges that whereas in the present instance its wider application is consistent with and tends to effectuate the public policy evidenced by the statute, the term should be held to embrace the government. Several Supreme Court cases there that was used in. Persons are of two classes only: natural persons and a legal person. A natural person is a human being that has the capacity for rights and duties. A legal person is anything to which the law gives a legal or fictitious existence and personality, which with capacity for rights and duties. The only legal person known to our law is the corporation, the body corporate. So, therefore, that one's very, very telling because a natural person is a human being that has the capacity for rights and duties. Kind of an oxymoron. Natural person is, a person doesn't exist physically, tangibly. It's a legal construct on paper. It's an idea. Human beings, going back to census from 1939, I would assume they would be going back to what was it? Oh yeah, this one here. The human being, shall include every infant member of the species Homo sapiens who is born alive. I would assume that maybe that's what they're going back to, because they have the capacity for rights and duties, but they don't actually have rights and duties at that time. So I'm assuming that's what they're referring to. I could be wrong, but nonetheless, you get it. Person is person. People are different than persons, etc. The legislature cannot be deemed to have intended to punish anyone who is not plainly and unmistakably within the confines of the statute in multiple United States Supreme Court cases. So they, if you're not unmistakably within the confines of the statute, they cannot do anything to you. They cannot punish anyone. So once again, where is the definition? Who are they talking to? They are talking to corporations. So if you are not a corporation, you are not within the confines of the statute. Do not ever let a court do this to you. Do not ever let a court punish you for being something that you are not. You are not within the confines of the statute unless you are a corporation. It's that simple. So, know who you are. It's extremely important that you understand the difference between people and person. Drill this into your head. Go through every single statute that you can find. I don't care which one it is. Pick a random one out of a hat, out of a book, out of a law book. I don't care if somebody just throws out some random numbers. Pick some, go through, find the definition sections, look up the word person, and understand that every single time you do that, you will get the exact same definition. In some more, some less words, but they're all going to have basically the same exact things: individual, partnership, corporation, association, government entity, other government entity, estate, trust, stuff like that. They're all legal constructs on paper. That is what a person is. Understand that, and you will it will open so many doors. You will understand that you are exponentially more free than you could have ever thought. Hence, the truth will set you free. The truth is freedom. Truth is freedom. Veritas, libertas. And that's it.